The church bells tolled midnight, their echo slicing through the humid Virginia night like a warning. Ethan stood frozen in the garden behind the reception hall, his heart pounding as he stared into the eyes of the man he thought he'd never see again. Caleb, the alpha he'd loved in secret for years, was back in the night Ethan was supposed to watch another man take his place. 2 years ago, Caleb vanished without a word, leaving Ethan shattered in their small college town of Willow Creek. They'd been inseparable, two outcasts in an Alpha Beta Omega world where their bond in Omega like Ethan loving an Alpha like Caleb was a quiet rebellion against rigid expectations. Caleb's sudden disappearance had left Ethan to piece together a life without him. Until Julian, a kind beta and Caleb's childhood friend, offered Ethan a new beginning. Tonight, Julian was the groom, and Ethan, the best man, had been ready to let go of the past. But now, Caleb stood before him, his rugged frame illuminated by fairy lights, his brown eyes burning with something unspoken. "Why now?" Ethan whispered, his voice trembling as he clutched the lapels of his suit jacket. The scent of roses mingled with Caleb's familiar cedarwood musk, pulling Ethan back to stolen nights under starlit skies. "You left me. You didn't even say goodbye." Caleb stepped closer, his presence overwhelming, like gravity itself. "I had to. Ethan. You don't understand, I wasn't running from you. I was running for you." His voice was low, raw, carrying the weight of secrets Ethan could only guess at. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, to push Caleb away, to run back to the safety of Julian's steady love. But his feet wouldn't move. The garden, with its soft glow and blooming jasmine, felt like a trop of beautiful, suffocating cage where his heart was unraveling. He'd spent years burying his pain, convincing himself Julian's warmth could replace Caleb's fire. Yet here Caleb was, tearing open wounds Ethan thought had scarred over. "What do you want from me?" Ethan asked, his green eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's Julian's wedding night. I'm here for him. Not you." Caleb's jaw tightened, his gaze flickering toward the reception hall where music and laughter spilled out. "Julian's not the one you love. Ethan. You can lie to yourself, but not to me." He reached out, his fingers brushing Ethan's wrist, sending a jolt through him. "I came back to stop you from making the biggest mistake of your life." Ethan yanked his hand away, his pulse racing. "You don't get to decide that. You lost that right when you disappeared." But even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. Julian was safe, kind, everything Ethan should want. Yet Caleb's return was a spark to dry tinder, igniting feelings Ethan had tried so hard to extinguish. The night Caleb left, Ethan had been waiting at their favorite spot by the creek, a blanket spread out under the willows. They'd planned to tell the world about their love. To hell with what anyone thought. But Caleb never showed. Days turned to weeks, then months, with no word. Rumors swirled. Some said Caleb had fled to escape a scandal, others that he'd been forced out of town by his powerful alpha family. Ethan had clung to every scrap of gossip, desperate for answers, until Julian found him one rainy afternoon, broken and alone. Julian had been a lifeline, a beta with a quiet strength. He'd offered Ethan friendship, then love, pulling him from the darkness. When Julian proposed to his fiancée, a sweet Omega named Lily, he'd asked Ethan to be his best man, a gesture that felt like a promise of family. Ethan had said yes, believing he could finally move on. But now, with Caleb standing so close, Ethan's carefully rebuilt world was crumbling. "Ethan," Caleb said, his voice softer now, almost pleading. "I know I hurt you, but I had no choice. My family, they threatened you. They knew about us, and they would have destroyed you to keep me in line. I left to protect you." Ethan's breath hitched. The words landed like a blow, stirring a storm of anger and longing. "Protect me. You broke me. Caleb. You let me think I wasn't enough." His voice cracked, and he hated how vulnerable he sounded. "Julian was there when you weren't." He picked up the pieces. Caleb's eyes darkened, a flicker of pain crossing his face. "Julian's a good man, but he's not me, and you're not his." He took another step, closing the distance until Ethan could feel the heat of his body. "Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me you don't still love me." Ethan's heart screamed the truth, but his mind fought back. He thought of Julian inside, laughing with Lily, unaware of the chaos unfolding in the garden. Julian deserved better than this. Ethan had promised to be there for him, to stand by his side. But Caleb's presence was a tidal wave, pulling Ethan under. Before he could respond, a shadow moved at the edge of the garden. Julian stepped into the moonlight, his suit slightly rumpled, his expression unreadable. "Ethan," he called, his voice steady but laced with something sharp. "What's going on?" Ethan's stomach dropped. Caleb didn't move. His gaze locked on Ethan, as if daring him to choose. The air grew thick with tension, the kind that could shatter lives in a single moment. Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came. How could he explain this? How could he choose between the man who'd saved him and the man who'd set his soul on fire? Julian's eyes flicked to Caleb, recognition dawning. "You," he said, his voice low. "Dangerous. You're supposed to be gone." Caleb squared his shoulders, unyielding. "I came back for what's mine." The words hung in the air, a challenge that could ignite everything Ethan had fought to protect. He stood between them, his heart torn, knowing that whatever happened next would change his life forever. The garden felt like a battlefield, the fairy lights casting long shadows that danced with the weight of unspoken truths. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears as he stood between Julian and Caleb, their eyes locked in a silent war. Julian's calm facade cracked, his hands clenching at his sides, while Caleb's alpha presence radiated defiance, his stance unapologetic. "Yours." Julian spat, stepping closer. His voice was steady, but Ethan could hear the hurt beneath it. "You left him, Caleb. You don't get to waltz back in and claim him like some prize." Caleb's lips curled into a bitter smile. "And you think marrying Lily makes you the hero? You've been in love with Ethan for years. Julian, don't pretend this wedding was about her." Ethan's breath caught, his gaze snapping to Julian. The accusation hung heavy, and for the first time, Ethan saw a flicker of guilt in Julian's eyes. Could it be true? Had Julian's kindness, his steady presence, been more than friendship? Ethan's mind reeled, replaying every moment the late-night talks, the gentle touches, the way Julian had always been there when Ethan needed him most. Had it all been a lie? "Stop it," Ethan said, his voice shaking. "Both of you. This isn't about who gets to claim me. I'm not a thing." He turned to Julian, his heart aching. Is it true? Have you felt something for me? Julian's face softened, but his silence was answer enough. He ran a hand through his hair, his eyes dropping to the ground. Ethan. He trailed off, then met Ethan's gaze. I love Lily. I do. But you've always been special to me. I thought I could be what you needed, even if it wasn't everything. Ethan's chest tightened, a mix of betrayal and sorrow washing over him. Julian had been his anchor, but now that anchor felt like a chain. He turned to Caleb, anger flaring. And you think you can just come back and fix everything? You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how hard it was to survive without you. Caleb's expression softened, but he didn't back down. I know I hurt you, Ethan, but I never stopped loving you. Every day I was gone, I fought to come back to you. My family, they locked me away, tried to fix me. They thought they could break me, but you were the only thing keeping me going. Ethan's heart stuttered. Locked away. The words painted a picture he hadn't dared imagine Caleb. Trapped. Suffering. All to protect him. But the pain of abandonment still burned. Why didn't you tell me? He demanded. A letter. A call, anything. I would have waited. I couldn't risk it, Caleb said, his voice raw. They were watching you, Ethan. If I'd reached out, they'd have come for you. I had to make them believe I'd let you go. Julian stepped forward, his voice cutting through the tension. Enough. Ethan, you don't owe him anything. He made his choice. I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. He reached for Ethan's hand, but Ethan pulled back, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. Don't, Ethan whispered, his voice breaking. I need to understand this. I need to know what's real. He looked between them, his heart splitting down the middle. Julian's steady presence had been his salvation, but Caleb's return was a reminder of a love that had once set him free. The sound of laughter from the reception hall broke the silence, a cruel reminder of the life Ethan was supposed to be part of tonight. Lily was waiting for Julian, unaware of the chaos unfolding outside. Ethan's guilt surged was ruining her night, her future, all because he couldn't untangle his own heart. Ethan, Caleb said, his voice gentle but firm. Come with me. Let's talk. Just us. You deserve the truth, all of it. Julian's eyes flashed with anger. You're not taking him anywhere. This is my wedding night. Caleb, you don't get to ruin it. Ethan's head spun. He wanted to run, to escape the suffocating weight of their expectations. But he couldn't. Not yet. I need time, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I can't do this right now. Julian's face fell, but he nodded. Okay. But I'm not giving up on you, Ethan. He turned and walked back toward the hall, his shoulders tense, leaving Ethan and Caleb alone again. Caleb reached out, his fingers brushing Ethan's cheek. I'll wait, he said softly. As long as it takes. Ethan closed his eyes, the warmth of Caleb's touch both a comfort and a torment. He wanted to believe Caleb, to fall back into the love they'd once shared. But Julian's words echoed in his mind, and the truth was a tangled mess he wasn't sure he could unravel. As Caleb stepped back, giving Ethan space, the Omega felt the weight of his choice pressing down on him. He couldn't stay in this garden forever. caught between two men who both claimed to love him. But for now, he needed to breathe, to find a moment of clarity in the chaos. The moon hung low, casting silver light over the garden as Ethan stood alone, the echoes of Caleb and Julian's words ringing in his ears. He sank onto a wooden bench, the scent of roses heavy in the air, and buried his face in his hands. His heart was a battlefield, torn between the past he'd never stopped loving and the future he'd tried to build. He thought of Lily, radiant in her white dress, unaware of the storm brewing outside. Guilt gnawed at him. She deserved a perfect night. Not this. Ethan's role as best man was supposed to be a celebration of Julian's happiness. But instead, he was the fracture threatening to break it all apart. And yet, Caleb's return had awakened something in him, a spark he'd thought was long dead. Footsteps crunched on the gravel path, and Ethan looked up to see Lily approaching, her veil trailing behind her like a ghost. Her expression was soft, but her eyes held a quiet strength. "Ethan," she said, sitting beside him. "I saw Julian. He's upset. What's happening?" Ethan's throat tightened. He couldn't lie to her. Not after everything. "Caleb's back," he said simply, the words heavy with meaning. "And I don't know what to do." Lily's gaze softened, and she placed a hand on his. "I know about you and Caleb. Julian told me. A long time ago. He also told me how much he cares about you." She paused, her voice steady but kind. "But Ethan, this isn't just about them. It's about you. What do you want?" Her question hit like a wave, forcing Ethan to confront the truth he'd been avoiding. He'd spent so long trying to be what others needed: Julian's friend, Caleb's love, Lily's support. But what did he need? The answer was buried under layers of pain and fear. But it was there, waiting. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice barely audible. "I thought I did. I thought Julian was my future. But Caleb, he's my past. And I can't let go." Lily nodded, her eyes glistening. "Love isn't simple, Ethan. It's messy, and it hurts. But you can't live for someone else's happiness. You have to choose for you." Her words were a lifeline, pulling Ethan from the chaos. He squeezed her hand, grateful for her understanding. "I'm sorry," he said. "This is your night. I didn't mean to ruin it." "You haven't ruined anything," Lily said with a small smile. "Go find your truth, Ethan. We'll be okay." She stood, leaving Ethan alone with his thoughts. The garden felt quieter now, the weight of her words settling over him like a blanket. He knew what he had to do, even if it terrified him. Ethan found Caleb by the creek, their old spot, where the willows swayed in the night breeze. Caleb was sitting on the bank, his silhouette stark against the water's reflection. Ethan's heart ached at the sight. How many nights had they spent here, dreaming of a future they thought they could have? "Caleb," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. Caleb turned, his eyes searching Ethan's face. "Tell me everything. No more secrets." Caleb nodded, his expression raw. He told Ethan the truth: how his family, powerful alphas in the community, had discovered their relationship and deemed it a threat to their status. They'd sent Caleb to a facility upstate, a place meant to correct him, to strip away his love for Ethan. But Caleb had fought back, escaping after months of torment. determined to return to the only person who'd ever made him feel whole. "I never stopped loving you," Caleb said, his voice breaking. "Every day, I thought of you. I came back because I couldn't let you live a lie." Ethan's eyes burned with tears. "I needed you, Caleb. And you weren't there. But Julian was. He gave me a reason to keep going." Caleb's face crumpled, but he nodded. "I know. And if he's what you want, I'll walk away. But I had to try." Ethan's heart raced. He thought of Julian's kindness, his quiet love, and the life they could have. But then he looked at Caleb, the man who'd set his soul on fire, who'd fought against the world to come back to him. And he knew. "I love you," Ethan said, the words spilling out like a dam breaking. "I never stopped. But I can't just run to you. I need to do this right." Caleb's eyes softened, a flicker of hope in them. "What does that mean?" "It means I need to talk to Julian," Ethan said. "I owe him that. And then, we figure out what comes next." Caleb nodded, stepping closer. "I'll wait, Ethan. For as long as it takes." Ethan found Julian in the reception hall, sitting alone at a table, a glass of whiskey in his hand. The guests had thinned out, the music softer now. Julian looked up as Ethan approached, his expression guarded but hopeful. "Ethan," Julian said, standing. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." "No," Ethan interrupted, his voice gentle. "You were honest. And I need to be honest too." He took a deep breath. "I love Caleb. I always have. But you saved me, Julian. And I'll always be grateful for that." Julian's eyes glistened, but he nodded. "I knew," he said quietly. "I just hoped maybe I could be enough." "You are enough," Ethan said, his voice breaking. "But my heart's with him." Julian pulled Ethan into a hug, a silent goodbye. "Be happy, Ethan," he whispered. "That's all I ever wanted for you." As Ethan walked back to the creek, Caleb was waiting, his eyes bright with hope. They didn't speak, they didn't need to. Ethan took Caleb's hand, their fingers intertwining, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. The night stretched on, the stars above bearing witness to a love that had survived the impossible. Ethan didn't know what the future held, but he knew he'd face it with Caleb by his side. And that was enough.